There's been numerous cases of multiple murders of Aboriginal women and girls across Canada, the Picton case, but this case drew national attention as probably one of the most bizarre serial killers in Canadian history, a barber who is using alcohol to kill these victims. Now, he's known as the boozing barber. Now, Gilbert Paul Jordan, born Gilbert Paul Elise in Vancouver, December 12, 1931, was known in the media as the boozing barber. He was a Canadian serial killer who was believed to have committed the so-called alcohol murders in Vancouver, British Columbia. Now, Jordan, a former barber, was linked to the deaths of between 8 and 10 women between 65 and 88. He was the first Canadian known to use alcohol as a murder weapon. His lengthy criminal record started in 52 and includes convictions for rape, indecent assault, abduction, hit and run, drunk driving, and car theft. In 76, he was examined by Dr. Tibor Bezerdi as part of a court proceeding. Dr. Tibor diagnosed Jordan as having an antisocial personality, defined by Bezerdi as a person whose conduct is maladjusted in terms of social behavior, disregard for the rights of others, which often results in unlawful practices. Now, Jordan is thought to have started his spree in 1965. He is considered a serial killer as he was linked to the deaths of between 8 and 10 women, but was only convicted in the manslaughter death of one of them. These victims were primarily First Nations women in Vancouver's downtown east side. Typically, you would find women at bars, buy them drinks, then pay them for sex and encourage them to drink with him. When they passed out, he would pour liquor down their throats. The resulting deaths were reported as alcohol poisoning, and police paid little attention because some of the victims suffered from alcoholism. Although the newspapers often described the women as sex workers, not all were involved in the sex work. Jordan was known for drinking more than 450 ounces of vodka each day. The first woman known to have died by Jordan's hand was in 1965. As would become a pattern, a switchboard operator named Ivy Rose was found naked and dead in a Vancouver hotel. Her blood alcohol level was 0.51, which is 6 times the normal limit. No charges were laid. Court proceedings showed he sought out approximately 200 women per year for binge drinking episodes, covering the period from 1980 to 88. He was also looking for sexual gratification. Further, the Crown provided evidence that Jordan was linked to the deaths of 600 First Nations women. Similar fact evidence shows Jordan had been with the following women at the time of their deaths: Mary Johnson, Barber Paul, Mary Jones, Patricia Thomas, Patricia Andrew, and Vera Harry between 1980 and 1986. In most cases, the blood alcohol level was quite high, except for Harry, who tested upon death at 0.04. Now, on October 12, 87, Vanessa Lee Buckner was found naked on the floor of the Niagara Hotel after a night of drinking with Jordan. There's some debate regarding the victim. Some sources indicate that she was a white woman, not a heavy drinker, nor was she a sex worker. However, official court records describe Buckner's death as a result of Jordan supplying a lethal amount of liquor to a female alcoholic who died of results. Buckner had recently lost custody of a newborn baby who had been born with a drug dependency. According to published reports, she was an alcoholic and a taker of various kinds of drugs. Jordan's fingerprints were found and linked to Buckner's death. A month after her passing, another woman, Edna Shade, was found dead in another hotel. After being questioned, Jordan had not been charged with any crime related to Buckner's death. However, police initiated surveillance on Jordan. Between October 12th and November 26, 87, police watched him search out Native Indian women in the Skid Row area of Vancouver. On 4 different occasions, the police, rescued the women involved before she too became a victim, including Rosemary Wilson, Verna Chatin, Sheila Joe, and Mabel Olson. According to the court records, police listening outside the hotel rooms heard Jordan say numerous things, offering money to drink or to do certain acts with him. Now, this similar evidence was important to the 88 trial when Jordan was tried before a judge alone. Justin Boak found Jordan guilty of manslaughter in the death of Buckner. He was sentenced to 15 years in prison, but that was reduced to 9 years on appeal. Now, he served 6 years for the manslaughter conviction. After his release, he was placed on probation, which was restricted him to Vancouver Island. In June 2000, he had been charged with sexual assault, negligence causing bodily harm, and administering a noxious substance, alcohol. In 2000, Jordan attempted to change the name to Paul Pierce. At the time, a name change in BC didn't require fingerprinting or a criminal check. After the loophole was closed, he dropped the application. Jordan was arrested again in 2002 for breach of probation because he was found drinking in the presence of a woman while in possession of alcohol. He was found guilty and sentenced to 15 months in jail, followed by 3 years probation and new strict conditions. However, on August 11, 2004, he was arrested in Winnipeg for violating the probation order for an incident at the York Hotel in Swift Current, Saskatchewan. Now, on August 9, 2004, he had been identified as being a party to binge drinking with the Barber Berkeley. Berkeley was a long-time resident of the hotel and had a serious drinking problem. Berkeley was taken to a hospital by her friend, a hotel employee, Kathy Waddington, after finding Berkeley in very bad condition. Waddington identified Jordan as being there, but he was acquitted of those charges in 2005. Upon his release, police issued a public warning. However, Jordan died in 2006. On February 3, 2005, the Saranac Police Department issued an alert warning the public to be cautious of the recently released Jordan. Now, eventually, his passing led to his case being used in the entertainment industry for various fiction and non-fiction productions. He was the subject of the 1997 Canadian television program Exhibit A, Secrets of Forensic Science, in the episode called Dead Drunk. The program described the forensic work used to convict him in 1988. Now, a dramatization of the case, The Unnatural and Accidental Woman, was written by Vancouver playwright Mary Clements and performed in, among other places, Buddies in Bad Times Theatre in Toronto. In the play, the writer focused on the story of the victims in an attempt to redress the failure of the news media to do so. Now, Clements later adapted her play into the screenplay for a feature film, Unnatural and Accidental, which premiered at the 2006 Toronto International Film Festival. Jordan's crime also served as inspiration for the first several episodes of Da Vinci's Inquest. This was the prequel to the award-winning Da Vinci City Hall. The crime series, set in Vancouver, portrayed a serial killer using alcohol as a murder weapon and stalking women involved in sex work. The portrayal departed from the facts by having the killer die before he could be arrested. He was murdered by one of the victim's brother, tipped to the identity by a detective. Now, with this case, obviously there might be more deceased because with the murdered and missing Indigenous women list, it's still being clarified because of the Picton murders and different stuff. All I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, he was a sick puppy to use and abuse not only Aboriginal women, but women that had a severe drinking problem and using cash and the lure of liquor. But like I said, he never stabbed any of these people, but he was just as bad and just as deadly. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's the case of Gilbert Paul Jordan. If you like what we're doing here, we're a true crime podcast. Give us a like, comment, or subscribe. Check our archive for various other podcasts we have here, including various notable executions across Canada, including that of my cousin Joe Richard, the last person to be hung for murder in New Brunswick. Thanks for listening. Bye.